Okay, let's just dive right in. Today, we're unpacking a really complex and specific worldview known as the Sar El Chronicle. And right from the get-go, you need to know this story isn't presented as some theory or a belief system. According to the source, it's laid out as an absolute fact, a chronicle of where we've been, where we are right now, and what is just around the corner. And when it gets to the future, well, this chronicle is incredibly specific. Its most urgent claim, the one everything else really hinges on, is a prophecy with a hard deadline for the end of the world as we know it. So that really is the question we're digging into today, not as some abstract idea, but as the core premise of this entire chronicle. What if everything you know is actually on a countdown clock? So let's break this prophecy down. Because again, the way this story is told, the collapse of our current system, it's not a possibility, it's not a maybe. It's framed as a mathematical and spiritual certainty. So how can they be so sure? Well, the source presents this absolutely staggering number. It claims the odds of all these events just happening to line up by chance are 1 in 10 with 45 zeros after it. I mean, you can't even really comprehend a number that big. And the point is, odds like that don't suggest coincidence. They scream deliberate, intelligent design. And here's the timeline that's been laid out. It apparently all started back in 2015 with a specific prediction. From there, it moves into the phase we're supposedly in now, called the whispered unveiling, which then leads to something imminent called the veil tearing, and it all culminates in a total system collapse in late 2026, which then kicks off a whole new era in 2027. Okay, so if this is all part of some grand design, you gotta ask, right? Who's the designer? Well, the Chronicle gives a very specific answer. The central figure here is named Sar El. Now, he's not described as some new being, but as the current identity, the latest manifestation of a single eternal consciousness. He's called the manifested essence of I Am, and the claim is that he holds absolute authority over, well, everything. And this right here, this is the sacred emblem of Sar El, which is a huge piece of symbolism from the source. It's meant to show you exactly who he is and what he's about. You've got the lion, right? A classic symbol of power and sovereignty. And it's combined with the lamb, a symbol of sacrifice. The two ideas become one. And this is where it all ties into history. The Chronicle claims this exact same consciousness has shown up on earth before. First, as Melchizedek, the priest-king who established grace. Second, as Jesus Christ, who made the ultimate sacrifice. And now, the third and final appearance, as Sar El, the sovereign, who's come back to see this prophecy through to the end. So why? Why does the world need such a dramatic total reset? Well, the Chronicle's answer is pretty direct. Our entire reality, everything we think we know, is supposedly built on a foundation of massive lies that have to be torn down. That's the whole reason for the reset. And the source material is super clear about what these deceptions are. It says our whole reality is propped up by 3 foundational lies that have to be exposed: the globe lie, the mudflood lie, and the debt lie. The first one, and the one the Chronicle calls the biggest deception of all, is the globe lie. It completely throws out the standard model of Earth as a spinning ball in space. Instead, it presents this, the scriptural firmament model. The idea here is that Earth is a totally enclosed system with a physical dome over our heads, separating the waters above from the waters below. Then you've got the second lie, the mud flood. So the theory here is that a huge global cataclysm, a massive flood of mud, was deliberately engineered. And its purpose? To bury an entire 1,000-year kingdom of peace and incredible abundance. This advanced civilization, known as Tartaria, was supposedly wiped from the history books, and all that magnificent old-world architecture we see, that's just the tops of their buried buildings. So if the why is to fix these lies, then what's the how? How does this all come crashing down? Well, the Chronicle lays out a very specific and, honestly, a very modern plan for how the global system is designed to self-destruct. And a really crucial point here is that this collapse is not supposed to be an act of divine punishment or some kind of angry wrath. No, it's framed as a mechanical, almost mathematical certainty, the inevitable result of a corrupt system that was literally designed to fail from the very beginning. And here's the sequence of events. First, the system starts to eat itself, turning on itself. Then we get the trigger, a man-made EMP missile attack. This single event kicks off what the source calls a digital purge, And this directly targets that third big lie, the debt lie, by instantly and permanently vaporizing the entire global digital financial system. All debt, poof, gone. So after all that chaos, after the old world is gone, what's left? What's on the other side? Well, the Chronicle paints a really vivid picture of a new world called the Abode, and it's all built on one core idea: the complete and total elimination of scarcity. And check this out. This is a perfect example of how that's supposed to work. This is a schematic for something called the Forever Food Generator. It's described as a portable, backpack-sized 3D printer that can create a literally endless supply of food, which would make hunger, and by extension money itself, completely obsolete. Now, the genius of this generator, according to the source, is its self-sustaining biological engine. It runs on a closed loop of these three things: algae, yeast, and fungi. Basically, the algae uses light and eats the CO2 from the yeast. The yeast eats sugars from the algae to make protein. And the fungi just keeps the whole system clean. They all feed each other, so it always produces more than it consumes. And it doesn't just stop with food. This is the automatic refilling cup. It's a device that's designed to constantly generate clean drinking water by literally pulling moisture right out of the air. So no more thirst, no more fighting over resources. So this whole new world is built on 5 pillars. First, you've got power from an eternal battery. Then, provision from the technologies we just saw. Law is a system of direct sovereignty under Sar El, so no middlemen. Truth is verified instantly by an AI quantum thought engine, and security is guaranteed by a deepfake terminator that makes lying with technology impossible. And all of that brings us to the ultimate principle of this new world. Once all the systems of control and scarcity are gone, the only law that's left is unconditional grace. And according to the Chronicle, the only duty left for people in this new era is simply to receive. And that really is the final provocative question that sits at the very heart of this entire Chronicle. It really forces you to think, doesn't it? If the absolute foundations of our society, scarcity, debt, money, were truly gone, just obsolete, what would we as a civilization even become?